What lies in front of you is a 2019 Infiniti QX60 with 14,000 miles. Now the QX60 was originally introduced in 2013 as the Infiniti JX35 and was renamed to the QX60 in 2014. Now since the introduction of the QX60 in 2013, there's only been one generation, this one being that exact generation, and has lasted until this current year of 2020. This QX60 in specific is equipped with a 3.5 liter V6 engine which produces 295 horsepower and produces plenty of torque for this mid-size SUV. Now in this video I'll be taking you around the Infiniti QX60, showing off its luxurious features and characteristics, and seeing where it falls in the relentless evaluation scale. Stay tuned. So assessing the rear trunk space of the 2019 QX60, as you can see here, you have 3 rows of seats and the third row is folded upward. And as you can see here, even with the third row folded up, you have a good amount of trunk space. If you want to put various belongings, if you're going on a business trip, a vacation, you got a good amount of trunk space. And if you fold down the third row of seats, you'll have even more space and an abundance of room in the back of the QX60. So starting with the exterior of the 2019 QX60, the first thing I want to point out is this monstrous grille. Infiniti emblazons the front of the QX60 with this ginormous grille and an Infiniti logo pretty much the size of like a baseball. It is a giant logo, and in case someone's behind you in a QX60, Infiniti wants you to know this with a massive logo on the front grille. And moving underneath the hood of the 2019 QX60, you can see here, you have a 3.5 liter V6 engine which produces 295 horsepower. The 3.5 V6 is very common in a lot of midsize SUVs now. The Honda Pilot has a 3.5 V6, Toyota Highlander has a 3.5 V6, the Nissan Pathfinder has a 3.5 V6, as does the QX60, as it is a luxurified Nissan Pathfinder. But if you want to take a look at it, as you can see, just take a glance of Infiniti's V6 engine. Continuing with the exterior of the 2019 QX60, as you can see, I want to point out the little badge to display the engine size. On all of the Infiniti SUVs, the QX30, the QX50, the QX60, and the QX80, they all have the engine size right next to the door. As you can see, this is a 3.5 liter V6 engine with the 3.5 badge to the outside of the door. And continuing with the lower front portion of the QX60, as you can see here, you have a very nice design to the wheel with a 5-spoke wheel with a little Infiniti badge in the middle, giving a very subtle and luxurious look to the exterior. So one other exterior feature I want to make on the QX60 is if you follow the chrome lining throughout the entirety of the door, it has this little bit of a pinch at the very end of it. This is a running design in the QX60, both on the inside and the exterior of the QX60. The grille is the same thing, where it's kind of a bubbly, kind of a circular shape or an oval shape outside the car with this little pinching design. But if you look at it, this design runs throughout the entirety of the vehicle, so it's good attention to detail on Infiniti's part. And one last exterior feature that I want to point out of the exterior of the QX60 is just the sheer size of this vehicle. SUVs and sedans in America are getting larger with each passing year, and as you can clearly see this with the exterior of the QX60. This is not the full-size Infiniti SUV, that's the QX80. This is the, quote, mid-size SUV, the QX60, and it is just a massive SUV. Mid-size SUVs 10 years ago were nowhere near as large as this. And with other vehicles that I reviewed in the mid-size segment, the BMW X3, the Infiniti QX60, the Toyota Highlander, they're getting progressively larger with each passing year. So this is a big SUV, just an overall size. So jumping to the interior of the Infiniti QX60, as you can see here, you have a very smooth leather-wrapped steering wheel, very comfortable and overall very nice quality. To the left of the steering wheel, you have your various voice control settings. If you want to tell the Infiniti QX60 a command, it will do just that, and your various other configurable settings to the left. Towards the right, you have even more settings on the steering wheel, especially your cruise control and various other drive settings. And moving to the gauge clusters, you can see here, you have your speedometer and your tachometer to the left. And if you look in the center between the two gauge clusters, You can see a bit of a readout. You have your average MPG, your average miles per hour, your fuel range, and a timer if you want to measure the length of your trip. A very easy and configurable just vibe to the front of the QX60. All very easy to use and simple to read. So moving to the center stack of the 2019 Infiniti QX60, as you can see, the first thing you see is a very nice sized screen. One thing I like a lot about mid-2010s cars is their screens were not these ginormous screens, which were pretty much the entire center stack. It is a very nicer, just smaller compact screen, and it looked just like properly fitting in the interior. It's not this giant screen. It looks like it's just perfectly sized for this vehicle. Anyways, moving below the screen, you have your various AC controls, your hazards, your fan speeds, your various airflow locations, and a defroster, all that basic stuff. Down here, as you can see here, you have your daytime or nighttime mode, depending on how bright you want the screen, your audio, your navigation, your maps, your apps. These are all for this screen, and I will get to that momentarily. Below all your screen configurations, you can see here, you have a CD player, your volume in case you want to listen to the radio, your various radio presets, and any radio options that you want to configure. Moving below that, as you can see here, you have two little outlets right here, USB if you want to charge your phone or whatever else in your Infiniti QX60. And below this, you have your gear shifter, an optional manual mode if you drop the car down and shift it to the left. You have manual mode if you want to use this in manual. As well, you have two cup holders, heated and cooled seats, and your various drive modes. As you can see, you have your normal mode, which we are currently in. We have an eco mode in case you want to be a little more efficient. You have a snow mode in case it's snowing, or even have a sport mode in case you want to let the QX60 fly on the highway. So continuing with the center console of the 2019 Infiniti QX60, the first thing I want to remark on is just the overall wooden quality. I really like Infiniti's materials in all of their vehicles, regardless of what it is. I reviewed a 2011 G25X a couple months ago. That had very nice interior quality as well. This wooden just gives it a very opulent look to the overall interior, and it's just very nice. Beyond those, you can see you have your two cup holders and a very large leather-wrapped center console. And one thing I like too, you have the upper center console and a lower center console. If you were to open it up, the upper console is more shallow and the lower one is very deep. But I also get a little bit of a kick out of how it's labeled upper and lower, just to differentiate that in the QX60. And just to go through the screen really quickly on the Infiniti QX60, as you can see here, it is a touch screen. If you touch it, it will react to your hands very quickly, pretty quick, as you can see, very easy to use. And all these buttons right here are configured as well, as you can see here. If you want to listen to audio or have radio things, you hit that. You have navigation, a map, various apps as well, and then info settings, status, all very similar things. As I said, this is a touch screen, but if you don't want to use your hands while you're driving, you can also use the little dial right here. You can use this to scroll, or if you want to shift the page, you can simply push it kind of like the entire thing, and it'll move up or down, left or right, whatever. Very easy to use and configurable, and a very simple system in the Infiniti QX60.
While I like how Infiniti stylistically integrates the screen in the QX60, my one remark is that this still feels like a screen from 2013. Opposed to many of its competitors, the screen does not have instantaneous touch response, nor the crystal clear quality of other 2019 vehicles. Now this was, say, a lower model Pathfinder for half the sticker price, then it'd be understandable. When you're paying nearly $50,000 to $60,000 for Infiniti's second most expensive SUV, it leaves a bit to be desired in terms of tech.
And assessing the comfort of the Infiniti QX60, I really like how Infiniti does their seats in all of their SUVs. In every Infiniti SUV, you have this very nice stitch pattern on the leather of any Infiniti SUV, and it's a very comfortable, high-quality leather material. If you're going on a road trip, these will fit you comfortably, super well. The seats are very large. This is a mid-size SUV, so you have pretty good-sized seats and a very high-quality leather on the interior of the QX60. Just very nicely done by Infiniti and very comfortable seats overall. So moving to the rear of the 2019 Infiniti QX60, as you can see here, I have a ton of legroom. I'm about 5'10". If I stretch my legs out, I still have a ton of legroom in the back of this vehicle. As I said from the exterior, this is a very large SUV. So if you have a family or if you're going on a road trip with a bunch of your friends or whatever, the QX60 will fit you nicely and all of your passengers in the rear very comfortably, as there is an ample amount of legroom. And as well with the seat quality, the rear seats are just as comfortable as the front seats. You have your same very high quality leather material. So just a very nice job on the interior by Infiniti. So from my perspective, in the back of the QX60, you can see here, as I said, got a plenty amount of legroom back here. You have a rear, two rear pouches on the QX60. I don't think I've ever seen this before, where the rear seat passengers have two tiers of pouches on the rear seats. So you have a lot of space to put your belongings or little items in the back if you're sitting in the back of the QX60. And as you can see here with the AC vents right here, you have configurable AC settings in case you want to have a different temperature in the back opposed to the front passengers. And as well, you have two little outlets to charge your phones. And one thing that I really like on the rear of the Infiniti QX60, you have heated and cooled seats in the back of the QX60. So in case your passengers want to have heated or cooled seats in the rear, they have the same option to do so as the passengers up front. And this isn't the most common thing in a lot of cars. This is only the first or second car I've ever reviewed that has heated rear seats. So a very nice touch to add on the Infiniti QX60. And one last interior feature that I want to point out on the 2019 QX60, one feature that I love in literally any car that offers it is a panoramic sunroof, which you can see here. You have the front, and if you see, you have the rear, which will open up in case you want to open up the panoramic sunroof. So it's just a very nice feature if you want to have a lot of sunlight in the QX60. If you're going on a road trip, you have a nice panoramic sunroof in this vehicle. So getting behind the wheel of the 2019 Infiniti QX60, the first thing you notice is this vehicle is just very spacious and large. As I said, this is not the full-size Infiniti SUV. That is the QX80, which is the luxury Nissan Armada. This is the luxury Nissan Pathfinder, and it's a mid-size. But as I mentioned numerous times throughout the video, this vehicle just feels very large. Like I reviewed a BMW X3 a couple months ago, and it just did not have this very spacious and roomy vibe to it. I really like it personally. I feel like the passenger in the vehicle is about 10 feet away from me almost, but it's very spacious and comfortable. You feel like you have a lot of room to just be comfortable in this car when driving. And that's a very big factor when you're going to buy a vehicle. One thing too, also, it is a luxury SUV, so there you don't feel many any bumps or like heavy dents or anything. It is a very smooth floating ride. Everything on the interior is a very high quality material. Even like every single Nissan I've been in, not just Infiniti, I'm talking like Nissan, it has a very nice quality to the interior, like very high quality leather, not a lot of plasticky amenities. It's just very nice overall. One thing too is just this car, it's very comfortable. It floats almost. You know, many modern cars have this very like loose, comfortable, not heavy vibe to it, and the QX60, when you're just going down a straightaway like I am right now, it just floats down the highway, giving it a very nice feeling. You know, it's an Infiniti, so you have all the opulence and bells and whistles of a luxury car. Very nice. You have the big screen, you have all the wood. It just feels so prestigious behind the wheel of any luxury SUV. Very nice feeling that I like whenever I get behind the wheel of one. So it's just like the turning radius of the QX60. It is very maneuverable and easy to get around. I'm going to make another turn in about a minute. It accelerates very nicely too. It does not feel sluggish. It has a good amount of pep to it. You know, it actually moves when you want to put it in drive. But yeah, no, overall though, you know, just the Infiniti QX60, it just floats when you're driving. You feel so prestigious. It's such a smooth ride. It doesn't feel heavy at all. A lot of the older SUVs that I have driven, you feel like you're kind of playing tug-of-war when you're turning it. It feels kind of heavy, especially with a larger one, like if you're going to be behind the wheel of a pickup truck or something like that. But all of these things just go away behind the when you're behind the wheel of the QX60, just giving it a very just opulent, luxurious feel. It is now time for the interview section, which to answer 5 generic questions one would ask when going to purchase a vehicle. Question number 1 of the interview section is, what is my favorite part about the 2019 Infiniti QX60? That is the overall build material and interior quality. As I mentioned numerous times throughout the video, the overall interior quality is very nice in the QX60. It's very high quality leather, very comfortable, and very nice. So that is my favorite part about the QX60. Question number 2 of the interview section is, what is my least favorite feature or something I don't like about the Infiniti QX60? And one thing I want to point out is this car does not have Apple CarPlay, and when you're in 2019, a lot of people are looking for that because most people have iPhones or an Android. When you're going to get a vehicle and you, in 2019, most people would expect that in a vehicle. So it's not a huge deal breaker, but if you're looking for that, that might be something that holds you back from the QX60. Question number 3 of the interview section is, what is the most unique feature about the Infiniti QX60? And that would be the rear heated and cooled seats, as well as the panoramic sunroof. Both of those features are things you'd see in very high-end cars when you approach the $70,000-$80,000 range. But when you're in a midsize SUV in the $50,000-$60,000 range, it's not that common. So it's pretty cool to see that on the interior of this vehicle. So props to Infiniti for including that in their vehicle. And one other additional feature that is unique in the QX60 is the 2 rear pockets the 2 rear storage pouches on the back of the driver's seats. I literally haven't seen that in any other vehicle before, having 2 rear storage pouches on the back of the seats. A pretty cool feature though. Like, you don't see that a lot in most SUVs, but you know, in case you have more items to store back there, Infiniti lets you do just that. Question number 4 of the interview section is the 2019 Infiniti QX60 worth its value? And I would say yes. You are getting a reliable car, as it is a Nissan underneath everything. So you have Nissan's reliability, plus all the opulence and features of an Infiniti. They hold their value pretty well due to their reliability and their high quality. And you're getting a very smooth and opulent car overall. So yes, I would say the QX60 is worth its value. And question number 5 of the interview section is, would I ever want or own the Infiniti QX60? And the answer is no. But personally, let's say in all of my vehicles, I am a truck guy and super specific when going to buy a vehicle. But while I do think this is a nice vehicle, and if you're looking for a very economical and luxurious family SUV, I would not want to own one myself.
Now that we've evaluated the Infiniti QX60's characteristics and features, it's time to see where it falls in the limitless evaluation scale. Before I begin, I want to thank the Sander family for lending me their QX60 for the production of this video. Now on with the scoring. Starting with exterior, the QX60 is a decent looking SUV. It's not a bad design, but by no means is it striking, earning a reasonable 5 out of 10. Interior on the other hand is strong. Infiniti always does a great job with their interiors, and the QX60 is a pure example of that. Not overdone or gaudy, just right for a luxury SUV, earning a 7 out of 10. Ultrapus is another strong point for the QX60, as the smooth stitched leather seats provide nice interior comfort for highway cruising, earning a solid 7 out of 10. MPG of the QX60 is impressive given its large size, having a combined estimated MPG of 23.5 miles per gallon, earning a 5 out of 10 on the MPG scale. Storage in the QX60 is good as expected, having a maximum storage capacity of 76.2 cubic feet with all the seats folded down, earning an 8 out of 10 for storage. Character on the QX60 is alright. The QX60 is elegant, but is still pretty consistent and similar to any other mid-sized luxury SUV, earning a 3 out of 10 for character. Wishlist on the QX60 is pretty good, as there's not a ton of features one can ask for that Infiniti misses. However, Infiniti is still a bit behind its competitors in terms of tech. While the screen is handy, it still feels like a 2013 screen, which is fine, but when you're paying $50,000 to $70,000 for a mid-sized SUV in 2019, this may leave potential customers stranded, as Infiniti's tech is relatively subpar to its competitors. Nonetheless, aside from the outdated screen, the QX60 does not leave much to ask for, earning a 7 out of 10 for wishlist. Handling the QX60 is what you can expect from a mid-sized luxury SUV. It's smooth and easy to maneuver for the most part, but has the anticipated bulkiness and body roll due to its larger size, earning a 4 out of 10. Excitement for the QX60 is alright. It earns a few points for being a well-built luxury SUV, but most wouldn't consider it thrilling, earning a 3 out of 10 for excitement. Stupidity of the QX60 is good, as there aren't many abnormal flaws to knock on this vehicle, earning an 8 out of 10 for stupidity. Pricing of the QX60 is also alright, as you're getting a roomy, well-built SUV with luxurious materials for the most part. The only thing that hurts the QX60 in this category is your opinion on Infiniti's tech, plus it also depreciates quickly like any other luxury SUV. Nonetheless, the QX60 earns a respectable 7 out of 10 for price. Engine responsiveness on the QX60 is solid, as the 3.5-liter V6 has good pep, providing a strong 295 horsepower to move the QX60's hefty frame. While the QX60 moves well for its size, it's no sports car, and it earns a 4 out of 10 for engine responsiveness. And overall amenities in the QX60 is good, as you're getting a luxurious, smooth-riding SUV that can provide for yourself or your entire family if need be. There isn't too much to knock on this vehicle, and earns an 8 out of 10 for overall amenities. Add those together, you get a grand total of 76 out of 130, divided by 13 categories is 5.85. Overall, the QX60 falls near the top of the lemon list and scores the second highest amongst all the SUVs I've reviewed thus far, falling short only to the 2018 BMW X3 M40i. In comparison with the X3 M40i, the QX60 falls short mainly due to the X3's astoundingly good driving experience and handling. However, the QX60 was more spacious and floaty opposed to the X3's aggressive nature, so it's mainly a matter of preference. While the QX60 is a good SUV, I honestly feel like there's just something missing, as it almost felt too much like a Pathfinder, instead of being its own unique, luxurious entity above the Pathfinder. Nonetheless, the QX60 is still an opulent, comfortable SUV that I thoroughly enjoyed reviewing, and is a solid option for those in the ever-expanding, competitive luxury SUV segment. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews in store, and thanks for watching.